Can you guys hear me now? Okay. I talk with my hands, so I typically don't use a mic because there's the fear that it might go flying across the room. So if it does, let me know where it goes so I can go get it. So the blocks. So people keep saying, like, you're special. It's just something that you have figured out. It's not necessarily something that's available to me. And what I want to do is kind of give you a little bit of my story so you can understand that it's not just me. It's you. You are very, very, very powerful, and we forget that. We forget that because a lot of times maybe we haven't been told that. Maybe we heard it but didn't believe it. So I'm gonna take you guys way back, way, way, way back to when I was born. So my story begins May 16th, 1979. So I was about 2.5 weeks overdue when I came into the world. And I was so big that I was in distress. And my mom had to make the decision, well, actually, my dad had to make the decision of who were the doctors going to concentrate on saving, me or my mom? So imagine that kind of situation, that my dad is now in that situation of making the call on the life of his love and the new baby. What the heck, right? That's like some serious stuff going on. And he said, save both of them. Save both of them. Thank God he said that, because my mom and I are still around today. And so they knew that something was going to be happening in my life. They knew something was going to be kind of moving around and shaking within myself. And so what we learned is that I was a ball of fire, and I had lots of energy, and I was really excited about life in general and people in general, and I really loved that. And so as I started to grow up, I started to figure out that I really liked beauty stuff. Really, really liked beauty stuff. And I liked it so much that my mom started to introduce me to her makeup collection because, hey, I'm about 8 or 9 years old at this point, and I'm trying to figure out, you know, my art. I'm trying to figure out what I like, what I'm really into. So she says, you can play, no rules, have fun. And what I figured out was that I really enjoyed that. And I really enjoyed making other people feel good. That was the basis of it. That was the biggest part of it. And I was encouraged to really grab onto that spirit of playing and share that. And so it started to spill out all over to all of my friends. It was like, if you sat still long enough, I was doing something to you. I was doing your hair, your makeup, or something. And so I was growing up in Central Florida, and it was super hot. Central Florida, half an acre of land, and a push mower. That's the situation, okay? So here I am, and I like makeup, and I like hair, and I like not being outside in the heat. So I'm with my little mower, trying to figure out better ideas. And I figure out, maybe if I paint some nails and charge for it, perhaps I might be able to get out of the sun and get out of the heat. And I said, hey, Mom, what do you think about that idea? She said, it better be good if I'm gonna pay you some money. And I said, all right, and attention to detail was born. And so through that, I started to really hone in that craft. And before I knew it, I had not only my family, which was my mom, my grandma, my aunts, my sisters, but then my friends, and my friends' parents started to come over. So it was like this whole thing started to develop around me. And I was little, I was 9. And so I had a full beauty operation flowing out of my bathroom at the age of 9. So I share that with you so you know that sometimes there's something inside of you that's trying to push you towards where you really are supposed to go. And so my world started to really be created at that point as far as beauty direction was concerned. And I started to really understand that that was going to play a huge role in my life and a huge role in other people's lives, because I could make people feel good. Whoa! I could make people feel amazing just by painting their nails, just by braiding their hair. Really? It's because I was caring about them the whole time. It's because I was loving on them the whole time. I didn't realize that when I was young. What I understood was that I just had fun doing it. So I essentially was just following the fun. Because when you're a kid, that's all you know how to do. You just kind of follow the fun, right? And then as we get older, we start to forget about that. We start to forget that it's actually supposed to be fun, this thing called life. We get super stressed out with stuff. And so as I continued on, I got through my high school years and decided to bet on makeup. And I started to work at my local mall at the makeup counter, and my guidance counselors thought I was crazy because they all had a different plan for me. And I knew that there was something about this beauty world that was calling me. And so I followed that, and it took about 10 years for that part-time job, if you will, to really grow and develop and become the agency that is known in Savannah as Dollface by Jules, which started off as me. And I got here in 2007, so I'm in my 10th year here. And when I got here, I showed up with a makeup box and a dream. I had no idea if anybody was gonna dig what I was doing. I had no idea if anybody was gonna hire me. I really had no idea of what it was supposed to look like. I just knew that there was something inside of me that didn't let me sit on it anymore. I knew that there was something inside of me that just kept pushing me to figure it out. And if any of you have ever had that feeling where you're just totally aware that there's something trying to push you towards something that you know may be what your calling is, think about this story. So, started 8 or 9 doing beauty services. Now at this point, I'm 18, 19, working at a makeup counter. And then I continue to Savannah, and at 2007 arrive here. Just a party of one, just me. I was a one-woman operation. I was doing it all. I was on the back end in the middle of the night when everyone was sleeping, trying to figure out codes so I could build a website. I didn't know how to do that, but you know what? When you have to figure something out, you do. And so I decided, all right, I am going to come to Savannah and I'm going to make this dream of mine a reality because I'm gonna bet on myself and I'm gonna take a chance on myself. And what I decided to do in that chance is not listen to any of the negative talk. Because if you wanna do something positive, you have to shut that down. Sometimes it comes from your own internal dialogue. Sometimes it comes from external people around you. Sometimes it comes from someone else that said it a long time ago and it really stuck. So what I needed to do was just kind of bet on me and take an opportunity to just give myself a chance to try. And so I got here and Paula Deen was on my list. I mean, you can't come to Savannah and not put Paula Deen on your list, right, y'all? So about 2009, I started working with Jamie and Bobby. And I worked really hard as if I were going to work with her next. I just went ahead and started to adopt that type of mentality. I started to adopt that type of language. And I would say, I don't do her makeup yet. I don't do it yet. Oh yeah, when I'm gonna spend time with her, it's gonna be amazing. We're gonna have a great time. And then my chance came. And it was Halloween makeup, and they called me to do to turn Miss Paula Deen into Medusa. And I said, oh Lord, I do not want to turn this beautiful woman into Medusa for the first time that I'm ever going to see her, and then this is what I get to do to her? Like, what? And they called the night before, and I was ready. I mean, I had been practicing, and I had been putting it all together. I mean, if she was gonna be Medusa, she was gonna be the best Medusa she ever could be. And then I figured out by this phone call that they said, you know, we actually don't need you to do it. We don't need you to do it, but still we need you to take care of other people the next day. And my husband said, are you okay? And I was like, heck yeah, I'm okay. You know why? Because I get to be that much closer and get to show her my work ethic, and I get to show her what I can do. Just because it's not my time with her yet doesn't mean that it won't come. But I don't want to plant seeds of negativity in my future and potentially discount myself for the blessing that could be down the road. And that day, she came up to me and said, "I have a question for you." And I was like, "Oh, Lord, what are you going to say to me? What do you want to ask me?" And she said, "How come you're not doing my makeup?" And I said, "'Cause you didn't ask me." And she said, "Be here tomorrow." And that was it. And she said, "Well, are you available tomorrow?" I said, "Of course I will be available tomorrow. Absolutely." So had I gotten caught up in my own negative thinking of, she didn't want me, they canceled me, and I'm defeated, and now I'm so sad, and I'm off my game, I wouldn't have been able to potentially attract her attention. I potentially would not have been at my top level of my game and my skill and my performance because I would have been too lost in my own thoughts. Have you guys ever been there where you have been like swirling in the anxiety of either I had this past situation happen and I want to make sure that I control the future so it doesn't happen again, or the what ifs of the future will slow you down, right? So when all that stuff's happening, what are you doing? Are you sitting in a chair quietly while that's happening? You're usually living life while that stuff's happening, right? So you've got like this stuff happening, and then you're trying to do your life. It usually doesn't work out well together. Usually will kind of throw you off a bit. And so I stayed focused, I stayed in the game, and then I worked with her for about 2.5 years. And it was interesting because she was so lovely to me and my family and treated us so well. And things shifted and I wasn't able to work with her as often. And I was really sad about it, thinking, oh my goodness, she must not want me anymore. And then as soon as I let that thought come out, I said, wait a minute, I never thought that before, let's not start now. And I thought, if she's mine, if she's my client, she will find her way back to me. And within 2 days, the phone call came in again. And the interesting part about this was I was not going to be able to do her makeup this time. I was gonna have to train someone else to do it in my place. And it was fantastic because it gave me an opportunity to surrender and release and let it go and see what was there for me. And when I gave that opportunity for some good to come my way, it was a chance for my whole agency to get lifted up to the next level. So it wasn't just me, it was as a team we were able to grow. But again, had I been so worried about what was going on in my head and what wasn't mine and all this negative stuff, I may have sown the seeds of negativity which would have thrown off that future course. Now, I'm up here speaking because what I learned through my evolution of being a makeup artist and then going into teaching was that I had a lot to say. I would start a makeup class with an intro that was essentially a mini talk. And I don't know that everyone signed up for that. I don't know that everyone signed up for a mini talk before their makeup class, but that's what they were getting, because that's what I was serving. And I did my best to serve them well. And I realized something is out of balance with what I'm doing versus what I need to be doing. And that's when I understood that the classes, which I love the classes were set up for not only the everyday lady, but also for the pro, and I love that. But I really understood that I needed to start allowing myself to branch out and start to get to the point where I could serve in a different way. And sometimes that's really scary because we typically have our perfect picture already figured out. And then once that picture starts to shift and change and morph, we get really scared and we don't like it. And a lot of times when that idea of perfectionism gets blown up, we freak out. We freak out. So the thing is about sharing love in a different way, which was going to be through speaking, was what was I going to talk about? What did I actually have to say? What did I have to share with you? It was so heavy on my heart, I had to figure out how to put it into words. And what I realized was that I wanted everyone to know that they, in this moment, were perfect just the way they were. And it's not the cliche side of it, it's the, you really are enough right now. And we miss that point all the time. We miss it all the time because we're so worried about, well, I haven't gotten to this level of success, or once I make this amount per year, then I'll be happy. Once I get in this type of relationship, then I'm gonna be happy. We have so many almost requirements before we can allow ourselves to be happy. Even in our workload, in our culture, we have been conditioned that we have to work so hard and do so much just so we can have the ability to feel like we've deserved having a good time or feeling fun. And I say, the heck with that. Let's have fun right now. What I started understanding was that the flow was so much easier to enjoy when I stopped myself from enjoying it. I had to get out of my own way, because what happens a lot of times is you're like, no, I got to do this big old list of things before I can ever have a lot of fun or go out and enjoy that vacation. I've got to work really hard. And I'm tired of that. I'm sure y'all are too, because a lot of times, especially as women, we do way too much. We want to wear all the hats at once. We want to cook, we want to clean, we want to keep the house, the children, we want to be the best friend, we want to be the best wife or significant other. We want to do all of these things. And I haven't even talked about the career side of it. So I personally have 4 businesses that I run, and I also am full-time mom to a 3-year-old. So I can tell you that I definitely understand what it's like to have a to-do list that's taller than I am. And it makes you feel good when you have this list, because you feel accomplished when you have your list. You look at it and you go, yes, I'm gonna do these things, and you know when you scratch it off, it feels so good. You get that little like happy dance going, and you almost find yourself writing like extra stuff so you can, oh yeah, I'm definitely gonna do that, so I'll be able to scratch that one off. That'll feel really good. And then what happens when you don't? Then it has the reverse effect. And then all of a sudden it wants to put you to sleep, because that's all you can think about is, I need a nap. Have you found yourself there? I have a lot. But what I found out was that I could actually move with the flow and follow my intuition, because there's actually an internal guide that's always going off inside of us. But a lot of times we're too busy with all those lists and all those things that we have to do before we can actually understand and realize and hear that this thing is going off inside of us, leading us. So if you give yourself a chance to kind of quiet down a little bit and tune into it, you'll be able to realize, like me, hey, I like makeup. Hey, I think I should follow this. Hey, I think I should go to Savannah. Hey, do you see what I mean? It just keeps flowing. And as it's continued to evolve and develop, it was scary when I was going from teacher into speaker, because I didn't want to change again. I had kind of figured this other stuff out already, and I just wanted to stay there and hang out. I really didn't want to go through the change and the training period of learning something else and being someone else. I just wanted to stay in that. And what I started to understand was I was the caterpillar. And I was too afraid to become the butterfly? No, that can't be right. That can't be right. Oh wait, that is exactly what's happening. That's exactly what's happening. So what do? You follow your intuition and you go, yeah, on all counts, this definitely feels right. This feels really good. It excites my spirit. I love talking about it with people. Or I'm so scared of it because I like it so much, I don't want to tell anybody about it. That's where I found myself. I remember seeing a speaker and she said, could you imagine yourself up here like me? And I said, inside, yes, yes. But immediately I looked at my husband, I was like, never, no, never. It was too good of a dream. I didn't even want to talk about it. So sometimes it even shows up like that, where it's so delicious and it's so ooey gooey good that you think, no way I can have that. There's no way I can't even talk about it, because if it doesn't happen, that'll just destroy me. And so I'm here to encourage you to link into your intuition and figure out where it's trying to flow to you and how it wants you to flow with it. And self-care is a huge part of that entire process. What I have learned that about self-care is I am at my best when I'm caring for myself. And we, again, as hardworking women, we love to tend to everyone else. We love to make sure that everybody else is taken care of before we feel like we can take care of ourselves. When I first became a mom, so many moms told me, just get used to eating your food cold, because that's just how it goes. And I thought, wow, man, for the rest of my life, I'm just gonna eat cold food? It's gotta be more to it than that. And what I started to understand was it's just a balance. It's just a balance. And you have to make sure that you're keeping yourself on your own list. You cannot give from an empty cup. I have said that so many times. But the thing is that you really, really and truly want to figure out how to keep that cup so filled up that it overflows and you never have to take from your own cup. Now, when I'm finding myself trying to get into alignment and trying to get into the groove of all of that, what do I have to do? Well, I tune into my joyful things. We all have joyful things. A lot of times we don't even think about it because we're too busy thinking about the busy stuff. So joyful things can be lighting a candle, journaling, reading books, all that kind of stuff. The stuff that really feeds your spirit, the stuff that makes you feel happy. It might be painting, it might be going out in nature for a minute. That's my best permission slip. And that's what I really want to also share with you is the concept and idea of permission slips. Do we like that? Do we like that idea of permission slips? A permission slip is when you are needing a time out and you don't ask permission to take a time out. You pull your permission slip out and you say, I got to go. I'll be right back. You'll find me out in the woods. You'll find me in a bubble bath. You'll find me somewhere peaceful doing something that makes my soul feel better and fills me up. Especially with the amount of giving that I'm doing these days with talking and coaching and sharing, I realize that if I don't have that balance, I will definitely fall flat. And so I want you to think about your permission slips. I want you to think about your joyful things and think about them in a way that does not consist of another person being with you. Self-sufficient. We are strong, capable women, but yet we forget that. We are actually superheroes. We are all superheroes. And I've started this series on my podcast, Jules Loves Me, that talks about the alter ego. So we all know the ego, the part of us that is like, oh, I'm so cool, I'm so this, I'm so that, all of that kind of talk, but also the super negative stuff that brings you down. It makes you feel like you can't dream that impossible dream. But then I raised the idea of an alter ego being your trusted friend, being the Sasha Fierce to Beyonce, if you will. The reason that I'm able to get up on the stage and do this with you right now is because it's that alter ego. It's that goodness. It's that superhero that comes out and goes, I have something to say. I have a mission. I am on my purpose. So when you think about it like that, you think, oh, well, maybe I'm Clark Kent, and I have forgotten that I'm here to do some important stuff. Maybe if you reframe it that way, perhaps you'll find that intuition calling you and saying, hey, girl, I've been trying to get your attention, and you have been totally looking everywhere else. Because a lot of times we know what we're supposed to do. We know what we're supposed to be, and we just want to hide from it. And that's where I found myself, was trying to hide from it. But it comes out full force when it's supposed to shake you, to awaken you. And so with the self-care, it's not about only taking time to have a bubble bath. It's taking time to really feed yourself the good stuff, and also talking to yourself in a way that expresses compassion and love for you. Because a lot of times, what I keep hearing over and over again is women just, all of us, we just want to be seen. We just want to know that we matter. We just want to know that there's more to this than the mundane part of our lives that is I do this routine, and then I start my day again tomorrow. There's got to be more than that. So when you're looking for that excitement, you're looking for the thing that's going to make you jump out of bed. When people say, think happy, be happy, you can tap into the idea of, there is going to be something here that is going to feed me, and it may need to be me, because I don't have to depend on anybody else. And so the thought process of feeding yourself to excite your spirit with good words. So anytime that negative dialogue pops up, because it's going to, there's an active conversation happening in your mind, you might as well get involved. Instead of just listening to it, talk to yourself and say, hey, you know what? You're doing good. I see you. I see you trying. I see you doing all that you can to be the best person that you can be in this current moment. When you start talking to yourself like that, things will start to shift. Things will start to happen. You will be able to consider doing things that you never dreamed possible. So, including being on the stage with you. So I got a call from Rosa earlier this week. The original speaker was not able to be here. And she called me and she said, hey, I really, really, really would love to have you and share a message, but it's super short notice. Are you going to be able to do it? And I said, absolutely, of course. I just have to make sure that I give myself the proper amount of what? Self-care. And that I can be balanced enough to share. And so when I was thinking about, like, what am I going to talk about? What am I going to share? I really wanted to make sure that I covered the idea of not only self-love and self-care, but also removing those blocks, talking about that negativity, talking about the idea that you are a superhero, that you have this amazing spirit within you that wants you to fly and do the impossible things. I grew up in a super small town in Central Florida where there's orange groves and a big K. That's a Kmart, just so y'all know. Yeah. And so the idea of even being a makeup artist was the farthest thing from anyone's mind for me. But it didn't matter, because it mattered what I saw. It mattered what I was dreaming. It mattered what excited my spirit. And so I share that with you, so you know that where you are currently, where you've been, doesn't matter. Wake up right now and think about, what are you feeling calling you and pushing to get your attention? Because I guarantee you, if you don't give it some attention, it'll get your attention. It's kind of like a light in a car. So if you keep ignoring the alarm in the car, the light that's telling you, pull over, we need to check in, we need to figure this out. You just keep going, I don't have time for that, I don't have time for me. And you just keep going, what's gonna happen? The car's gonna break down. So before you get to that point, making sure that you're feeding yourself and giving yourself everything that you need and not feeling selfish about it. So selfish, did that hit somebody? Selfish is a really big word that people are uncomfortable with, and I would like to give you a different perspective of selfish. So selfish is when you're doing something at the detriment to others, right? Self-preservation is when you're doing something to preserve oneself. So think about that difference. When you're taking your time out, when you're taking a break, what are you doing? Are you doing it to the detriment of others? No, you're doing it because you need a time out. You're doing it because you need to clear your mind out. You're doing it because it's what you need for your self-preservation. So the next time that someone hits you with you're being selfish, really think about what your actions are in that moment. And I guarantee you, what you'll find is that you're not being selfish at all. You're answering your own call and taking care of what you need. And it's amazing when you can do that for yourself. When you can do that for yourself without being all blocked up with all the different ideas of, I can't allow myself to do that. Throw all that away. Throw all that conditioning away. It is crucial for your well-being for you to be at that level. So self-care is not only about making sure that you're filled up and all that stuff. it's also connecting to something greater than you. Because all the time that we go through, we really need something to connect to remember that we're a part of something bigger. Especially in this day and age, we always feel like, it's like, it's all about me, but really, it's all about we. And it's all about how we can come together and support that body. So for example, with Rosa, and giving me this amazing opportunity, and I thank you so much, Rosa, she is offering an opportunity to come up here and represent empowerment, working together. Can I get a round of applause for Rosa, please? Thank you, Rosa. Rosa is incredible. She's super inspirational. She has a background in the military. She actually was deployed in Korea and Iraq, and always liked logistics and inventory and all that kind of stuff. That was what she did in the military. And thank you for your service, by the way, Rosa. And so she got back to Savannah and realized that she wanted to follow her intuition. And she found out that she wanted to have a jewelry business that was going to be online and then home-based. And that was back in 2011. And from there, it's grown into, I always lovingly call it a mini department store, because it's on Bay Street and it's 2,600 square feet. It's amazing. And the reason I'm here in partnership with Rosa is because she carries my makeup line. And I knew that RMC was going to be the best spot for Jules and More Than Me makeup products to be sold because of her care for women and her love for women, because every woman that comes into her store is treated as if it's their birthday. You feel fabulous when you're there. It doesn't matter if you're getting ready for a date or a talk. And I appreciated the opportunity to get to share that, because coming together is where we do our best work. Coming together is where one person has a strength and another person has a strength, and now we can do more together, connected. But we can't do that if we're swirling in the anxieties of our fears in our heads. So internally, going within, going inside, sharing, being vulnerable, caring, loving, doing all the things that you typically don't want to do because we don't like to get hurt. So I go first. My alter ego's name is Jules Loves, and my purpose is to love and affirm others so that they may find their center and balance. And I do that by sharing my heart. I do that by sharing stories that aren't always the funniest, that sometimes have some hurt and some pain, but I do that in order to heal. And I do that so I can share that story with others so that they potentially can see themselves and know that we're all connected, and know that the stronger we can become individually, when we band together, we can really rise up together and do something very, very important and very purposeful. Thank you guys so much for your time and your attention. I appreciate you greatly.